Hey everyone, so I'm here on my Pokemon LeafGreen game. This is the actual cartridge version of the game. And if you take a look at my trainer card, you can see that I have 3 stars here. Now these 3 stars are obtained first by simply being the Elite Four, and then completing your Kanto and National Pokedexes. So I painstakingly, years and years ago, achieved these 3 stars. Legally, no hacks, anything like that. And I never got the 4th star, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that played these games, whether it be on emulator or the actual games, FireRed and LeafGreen, and never got that 4th star in your trainer card, which can be obtained at the Joyful Game Corner on Sevi Island 2. So basically, I've gone through a very long process of figuring out how to finally do this without actually getting 3 Game Boys together and 3 games and playing this game and beating both the Dodrio Berry Picking and Pokemon Jump. So I finally found out a way to do this, and if you're interested in the background information explaining how I came to this conclusion of how to get this star and why this method works, and if you're interested in that, then you can keep on watching. But if you just want to skip right ahead to the explanation on how to do it, then just click forward in the video. So basically this can be done on your actual cartridge version of the game or on your emulator, and if you are playing on cartridge, then you're going to need a way of loading your save file onto your computer so that you can play it on an emulator, and that can really only be done using either an Action Replay or Game Shark, which I have here. And I know that some of you might be thinking, oh well, I'm kind of against hacking or action replays or anything like that, but if you want to get this star in your trainer card and you don't have 3 Game Boys to link up, then there's really no way you can do it aside from doing so on your computer. So having said that, you're going to need to load your save file onto the computer, and I've already made videos explaining how to use this for different things, so I'm not going to really go into that now, but moving forward in this video, we're going to assume that you have your save file on your computer ready to play on an emulator, or if you already play on your emulator, then you don't need to worry about this step. So now we're going to go into how to make your game give you that 4th star on your trainer card. So what you're going to need for this, first of course, if you're playing on cartridge, you'd need your Action Replay or Game Shark for the Game Boy Advance, simply to upload your game save file onto the computer for the point of playing it on your emulator. So that's not needed for anybody who are already playing on their emulator. So you're going to need, I would recommend Visual Boy Advance, only because that's what I'm going to demonstrate on, and I think it's good for connecting games via wireless. You're going to need your game completed to at least Sevi Island 2, of course, because that's where the Joyful Game Corner is, and you're also going to need a Pokemon in your party that's capable of playing Pokemon Jump. Finally, you're going to need the program called Cheat Engine, which you don't need to know how to use this yet. I'm going to describe exactly how to do it. It's pretty simple, and that's all you're going to need. Alright, so now we'll move forward onto the explanation of how and why this cheat works. Okay, so now I'm going to explain basically the 2 different ways that you can actually achieve this 4th star on your trainer card in FireRed and LeafGreen, you need to achieve a score of 200 berries in the Dodrio Berry Picking game and 200 jumps in Pokemon Jump. And to do this, you need to link 3 gameboys together, 3 for Dodrio and 2 for Pokemon Jump. So this could be done either on the actual console Game Boy Advance or on emulator. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you don't have the means to do so on console, and so you want to do this on your emulator. Now, I've tried everything to get 3 emulators to link up. It's actually quite easy to get 2 of them to link together and play via wireless, but getting all 3 is seemingly impossible, and I've been reading around online, and many other people are having the same problem with the game crashing once the 3rd Game Boy links up. So it's pretty damn impossible to do this first method. So really the only explanation that I'm currently aware of, the only method that I can think of, is to have the game thinking that you achieve those scores in these games. And I would have really liked to have actually gotten the games to work to show you, but it's just really hard to do it on an emulator. But I will show you how close I did come. So now I'm going to go into describing how to hack that score into your game. The most common method for doing this would be using an Action Replay or GameShark code, which is very, very easy on an emulator. But after scouring the different cheat websites, YouTube videos, everything, there's really no codes out there to hack a score into these games, either Dodrio Berry Picking or Pokemon Jump, and there's no codes to hack that star onto your trainer card. So as far as I know, no one has made any code to do this so far, and I personally don't know how to make a code, so I can't provide that for you either. You could also use a file save editor, and a lot of popular ones have been made for the Pokemon games, really of any generation. And the best I could find is this popular one called PKX Delta, which actually, surprisingly, comes with a feature made for these multiplayer games in Gen 3. I'm trying to pull up this save editor now. Okay, so basically when you pull it up, you can open up a save file. I'll just open up my LeafGreen here. Yes, and the application should start. So if this worked as intended, we would see you can change your trainer name, rival name, trainer ID, party, blah blah blah. But there's a section here for the wireless minigame records, and ideally this section would be working and you could easily achieve these scores. However, as you can see, it's non-functioning, and actually if I go online and read the creator of this PKX Delta save editor on the forums, he said that he intended to implement this feature about 2 years ago and still has not. So I'm not going to rag on him or anything, but it would have been that easy if he had done it. But you know, the thing is that it's really, really hard to change these scores in these games, and that's what I've been finding. And so the final method is hex editing, and this is really complicated. Basically, every different little stat in your game has a hexadecimal code that it corresponds to at a specific address in the coding of your game. And the experts on gaming know all about how this works and what every little byte means. That's not me. I'm no expert at this, and I'm really a pretty novice hex editor, but I will show you how you can do that on this game, and that's really the only method that I can think of that makes this work. So now we're going to load up the VBA. You're going to need to open two different Visual Boy Advances. It can be the same save file though, and we're going to get started on this hack. So I have my Visual Boy Advance program open here. I'm using my camera to record this and not my screen recorder because once you connect two emulators together, it can be kind of finicky, and I don't want to have too many things running. So before you open up your second one, you're going to pull up this cheat engine program here and go to Open Process under File and click your Visual Boy Advance. And the reason we're doing this before opening the second emulator is that we want to know which one this cheat engine is looking at. Make sure your settings are right for now before you open up any games. Under emulator, you want to make sure that pause when inactive window is unchecked, that under link wireless adapter is checked, and you're going to open up the settings for that. Now to link up our two emulators, you could do single computer if you're only using one computer, but I like using network better. Gives me a better connection. You're going to want to set link timeout to 11,000, and one will become the server and one the client. You're going to start the server, and on the client, if you're on one computer, you can click localhost. If not, you put in this number there, and they will connect. If they're not connecting, then something wrong is happening. Okay, so we click OK, and we can start up our games now. So I'm all saved up at the Joyful Game Corner on Sevy Island 2, and ready to go. So yes, I have two emulators going here, and we're playing Pokemon Jump, which is the first of the two games that you need to beat to get that star. Dodrio requires 3 games to link, which the emulator can't handle. So we're gonna skip that for now. Okay. So one game will become the group leader, and the other will be will simply join the group. So first one becomes the group leader. The second will join that group. Click yes, and once they're successfully linked up together, click start and enter the game. Now you should do this without any hitches, but I do often crash here, so if that's the case for you, I would just keep trying until you get it. Wow, that was a great start. Yes. I really hope I don't have to do this again now. Maybe I'll just get the 200 and I won't have to hack it. Yeah, right. Okay. So we get the high score and we drop out. So you need to establish yourself a high score. So for me, it's now 1380. That's my high score. So in the cheat engine, we're going to do a new scan for that high score. So there should be very few addresses with that same score. So I've found by trial and error that it's usually it starts with 0 and then a number. So I'm just going to check this 051 address. So I'm going to click the red arrow, and I'm going to change the value to 1470. I just kind of made that up. And look, now my new best score is 1470. So I found the address that corresponds to my best score in this game. So we know that it's 051EF378. So now we can learn a lot from that address.
If your score was not that specific, you could just keep trying these different addresses that come up until you find it. So now we know that this 051E is the address of the best score for Pokemon Jump, and we can change that to be whatever we want now, 1670. And if we come back into the game, it's 1670. So you might think, okay, well, you've done all the hard work for me. Now I don't need to go and find it in my own game. I know that that's the address of the high score in Pokemon Jump. But that's not true, because this address actually changes every single time that the game restarts, and it wouldn't even be the same for me moving forward. So what you want to do now, without touching anything else, is write down the address for that score. So for me, that's 051EF378. And we're going to need to remember that for future reference. So this is very important to know right now, because first 6 digits of that address will correspond to all 4 of these scores. The berries picked, best score, jumps in a row, and Pokemon Jump best score. So what we're going to need to do now to figure out the addresses of the best scores, we'll start with the Pokemon Jumps record. So checking my trainer card, I still only have 3 stars. Okay, so my current best score is 48. So we're going to do a new scan. So these are all the 48s in the game, all the addresses that have a score of 48. And we're looking for an 051EF3. So for you, once you find the address of your best score for Pokemon Jump, keep track of your first 6 digits. This will be different for you. This will be different for everybody every single time they open up the game. Even for me, if I was to restart right now, or even go back in and play another round, I would get a different value for that address. So it's important not to restart your game or touch anything. Just keep everything how it is and do not restart. So I'm going to go down. These are all the addresses, and I'm looking for an 051EF3. So there's only one value that fits that description that's a 48 right now. So I pull it down here with the red arrow, and I can change that value to be whatever I want. So I'm going to set it at 200, because that's the value I need to get that trainer star. So now I check. Whoops. I didn't change the right one. For a second I thought my method wasn't working. Okay. So there. Now I have a best score of jumps in a row of 200. Perfect. So now I'm halfway to getting the star. But now for the hard part. I have to do the Dodrio Berry. So I'm just going to take note up here. I got 3C in the other one. Now the reason you want to take note of the addresses that you've found, or you could just keep them down here, is because typically I'll find that there's letters or numbers in common between the Dodrio Berry scores and the Pokemon Jump scores. So right now my Dodrio Berry scores are all at 0. So I'm going to search 0, and we get, over 1 million hits. And so it seems like it'll be pretty damn hard to find the address that we need, but we already know where to look at 051EF. Remember, this is specific to me. Yours will probably be something completely different. All I can tell you is that it will never be any of those green addresses. If you see them green, it's not that. I gotta scan a little farther down here. 051. What am I doing? 2, 1, B, C, D, E. Okay, 051 E, A, B, C, D, E, and F. So now we're at 051 EF, and we go to 3. Now there are quite a few 051 EF3s. We're looking at starting, where'd they go? Here. So starting with 300, we've got about 10, 20, 30, yeah, so there's quite a few of them, a few dozen to go through. So this is going to be a little bit tedious, but we already know that we had 7, 8, and 3C for the Pokemon Jump. So I'm going to start with 3 followed by a number. Actually 370 and 374. The reason I'm starting with these two is because we had a 7, 8, and so I figured that the value might be close to these, where it stores the Dodrio Berry high score. This is just a complete guess, but it's an educated guess. Now we want to add the address manually and not just click the red arrow and pull it down, because Cheat Engine will crash if you have more than 1 million hits. So I add the scores manually. We're going to start with 370, 74, and 7C. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll find these right away. Maybe it'll take me, a half hour, I don't know. Sometimes I get lucky and find it right away. I've tried this a couple times already. So now we're going to check. Okay, so none of those were the Dodrio Berry high scores. So now we're going to go and check the 3 3s, because we found a 3C earlier, so odds are it'll be something close to that. Okay, so we have 3-0 and 3-8. So we're going to start with those. Okay, and we're going to make them be 200. Alright, let's check it out. None of them. Okay, so we didn't get lucky, but like I said, there's only a few dozen of these to actually look through. So, you could just go through all of them until you find the right one. But, it might be tedious, but, you will eventually find them. I can promise you that. They will start with the same 6 digits. Okay, I completely lost my spot here. Okay, there they are. This program can be very frustrating to use. EF, yeah, I'm going the wrong way. But it's really the only one I know that can just allow you to do it like this. So I'm just going to keep going down the line here, trial and error, until I find the one that changes those scores. Doing a few at a time. You also might try to keep ones that have the same final spot, like 8 or C. But again, it could be completely something not even close to that. You just gotta get lucky. There, so I found the best score was one of those. I'm gonna guess that it was C, only because we had a C earlier. And I'm gonna test that by making it, let's say, 1000. Yep, so now we know that the best score is at 4C. Okay, we're going to keep moving down the line here until we find the most important one, the berries picked. There, we found it. So that was one of these three, probably 5C, I'm going to guess. So I'm going to just set these back to 0 and check if the high score stays the same. No, so it was actually one of those two. Maybe it was 5-0. Just going to try that one. Yep, it was. So actually all these values were originally set at 0. So what I would recommend doing now is going through all the ones that you set to 200 that weren't actually supposed to be at 200 and set them back to 0. And that way you just don't, change anything in your game from what it should be. So now we should have these scores the way that I set them. Now I didn't change the excellence in a row or the berries picked in a row with 5 players, but if you wanted to keep looking through the addresses, you could find those as well. So yeah, so now we have the high scores that we want, all at 200. It's really only those first category in each game that you want to be 200 to actually get the star on your trainer card. So now is the moment of truth. When I check my ID, I should have 4 stars. And I do. I now have a gold trainer card with 4 stars. So there, I've officially beaten the game completely. Well, this is just a save I got online, but for you, that's all you'd have to do. And you have your 4 stars. You can save. You don't need this anymore. You don't need to save these numbers. They're going to change the next time that you start the game anyway. Let's just reset. And you'll see all these values that I had changed. Well, this one happened to stay the same, but that doesn't always stay true. You see other ones are now 0. It's completely random every time. So, we don't need the cheat engine anymore. And when we go in the game, we should see that we still have our 4 stars on the trainer card. Okay, good. Now we have it. So now we're ready to just, if you want to put it on your cartridge, you can upload it back the way that you originally got it in the first place. One last thing that I want to say is that when you
save that that file as it is, complete with 4 stars, just like that. You want to change your emulator setting from save type. Oh crap, you can't see it over here, can you? Emulator, save type. You want it to be flash 64K. Okay. And then you're going to export the snapshot. Yes, so. Okay. Then you go to that file, and you're going to change the file name from SPS to XPS. Okay. So now, we're going to go into our action replay GBX. You're going to import that save. You're going to import that save. It'll pop up like this. And then once you have your Game Boy hooked up, you will restore. So it'll ask if I wish to restore and erase the current game save. I click yes, and it goes ahead and sends it over. Now the reason you need to save it as a 64K file size is because that's the only kind that will actually fit on the cartridge version of the game, even though people typically use the 128K file size when playing on the emulator. Alright, so I'll just skip through this, uploading onto my game cartridge. Also, please don't message me or comment saying, wait, how do I upload my game save? How do I use Action Replay GBX? How does an emulator work? How does Cheat Engine work? How do I play Pokemon Jump? What Pokemon do I use? Blah blah blah. Please don't ask me those questions, because there's much more in detail descriptions of all of those things elsewhere online. I'm just kind of showing you how to use everything at your disposal to accomplish this goal. Alright, so now I've successfully loaded that back onto my game. Let's check it out. Okay, and now for the moment of truth. I'm on my game, loading it up, and there we have it, all 4 stars and the gold trainer card. And that is no action replay, just on the actual retail cartridge on the real console. So that's how you do it. Sorry this video was a little haphazard. I lost power in the middle of it, and I'm in the middle of a huge snowstorm right now, but I just wanted to get this out there, show you guys how I was able to do it. If anybody has any questions or comments or suggestions of how to do it better, just let me know. And yeah, hope this was helpful, and please rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and thanks for watching. See you guys.